Well, hello, my friends. It has been a while since we have talked to each other on YouTube. I'm not counting the development update videos that have been done and the fate of FM25. We're not going to talk about that here. But because FM25 is delayed, and I have had a desire for a while now to once again start creating gameplay content for Football Manager here on YouTube, we have decided to start a brand new save right here, right now in FM24. Now, the thing is, it's kind of not really a brand new save. I will explain. Now, you may have already read in the description below or surmised from the title of this video where I'm going with this, but at least let me tell the story of our intrepid journeyman, Nick Bottom. He started his career with absolutely zero experience and was able to secure himself a job in the third tier of Belgium with the Royal Anderlecht U23s, colloquially known as Young Reds. They were in the third tier of Belgium. He managed to finish second that year, picked up Manager of the Year, and got Young Reds promoted to the Challenger Pro League. It was a little bit dicier in his second season. Only managed a 10th place finish, but did keep the team up, but realized that his career could not progress any further with Young Reds, so he decided to leave after the end of the 24-25 season. Actually, he left technically after the season turned over. After being unemployed for a little bit, and probably a little bit longer than we would have liked, he landed in the Turkish Super League. His meteoric rise was already beginning with Kasım Pasha. He managed to keep the team afloat that first year. It was very difficult. If you remember watching the series here on YouTube, they didn't like us very much. The board was constantly against us. The team was like, who the hell is this guy? He's got 2 years of experience with a U23 side, and you expect him to lead us? Well, in that first full season, he took Kasım Pasha up to their best ever finish in fourth place in the Trendyol Super League. Also won Manager of the Year. The following season, improved on that, a best ever finish for Kasım Pasha in second place. Manager of the Year again the next season. We ended up leaving mid-year for the Premier League while the team was in first place. Now, they ended up finishing in second behind, I believe it was Fenerbahce. Not as much success in Fulham in the Premier League that first season. We're going to talk a little bit more about what happened there as we set up the save itself. However, was able to get them back into the Premier League, winning the Sky Bet Championship, winning the Manager of the Year once again. A respectable finish in 11th place for the newly re-promoted side before getting them into Europe in the 2031-32 season, winning the FA Cup and Manager of the Month at one point. Picked up Manager of the Year the following year as he led Fulham to a second place finish. The year after, a sixth place ending, which it was kind of because we were juggling all of the cups and we were juggling our time in Europe. We did manage to win the Carabao Cup that year, however, before leaving the following season for an ill-fated stint at Arsenal, where they did win the Carabao Cup. But for the first and only time in his career, Nick Bottom was fired before landing at FC Porto about a month or so later. Took them into third place in his first season, second in the second year there. So spent not as much time as we would have liked, because we joined Porto toward the end of the 34-35 season before jumping into Ligue 1 with Paris Saint-Germain. So only a couple of stops in this journey. Like I said, it was a meteoric rise from the second tier in Belgium to the first tier in Turkey, straight to the Premier League, a bit of a pit stop in the Liga Portugal before joining the big boys at Paris Saint-Germain. Finished second in that first year and had a near mutiny Only 2 losses all year long, did manage to win the Trophée des Champions and the Coupe de France. However, Rennes had a near-perfect 30-win, 4-draw, 0-loss season to cost us the Ligue 1 title, which we then won the following year in 2037-38. We won the Coupe de France, we won Ligue 1, and we ultimately won the UEFA Champions League. The day after that, Nick Bottom resigned as manager of PSG. Oh, and on the way, because he is a Greek national, as you can see on your screen, Nick Bottom was inducted into the Greece Hall of Fame. Now, that relegation at Fulham has always stuck in his craw because he took over a team that was on the cusp of relegation and failed to keep them up. And even though he achieved so much in his career, he wanted to make amends for that mistake. So Nick Bottom has decided that he was going to leave PSG, which he has done. He was going to take some time to himself, collect his thoughts, work on his tactics, although his attributes are pretty phenomenal with his stellar reputation. And he is going to set off to save those teams that are on the brink of being relegated from the top flight in their respective divisions. So as you can see on your screen, it is now the 15th of December, 2038. And Nick Bottom is going to be searching for top flight teams in the big countries that need his help. We are talking England, Portugal, Belgium, the Netherlands. Belgium because we got our start there. The Netherlands because I've never managed in the Netherlands and I think it might be fun. France, Italy, Germany, and we've also included Greece because while we talked about, if you may remember, all those months ago during the original Journeyman, Nick Bottom would like the opportunity to potentially manage in his home country. So we have filtered our job center to just those leagues in the top flight: Premier League, Liga Portugal, Ligue 1, Serie A, etc., 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 that may be relegation starved. So we are going to keep an eye on the positions. Now, a team like Sunderland, currently sitting in 16th place, we can't apply for that job because they are not yet in a relegation position. And we are going to count, if there is a relegation playoff, we are going to count those positions. So I believe in, say, the Liga Portugal, the third worst team is at risk of relegation if they were to lose that playoff, so they are included. So normally there would be some pretty juicy jobs available. Sunderland would be pretty cool. We're going to have to wait a little bit for that. Man City, I mean, I really have no desire to manage Man City, but I mean, Man City being available, but they're only in 10th, so they don't count. Liga Portugal, both teams are mid-table, including Sporting. Can't manage there. Stade de Reims, still outside the relegation spots in 13th, and Valencia in La Liga in 8th. I was checking a couple of weeks ago. In-game, there were some jobs available, but they have since been filled, including like Guignon in France, and I think it was Sampdoria in Italy. I don't really remember which one it was. So they are off the table. In fact, right now, the only job that would be available to us is the job at Southampton in the Premier League. Christian Wilson is currently acting as caretaker manager. He has lost both games. In fact, Southampton is in absolutely dreadful form. 10 points after 16 matches. So still 22 matches left in the season. Not quite halfway through. Look, Toshimitsu Endo tops in average rating with a 7.83. The 5'3" Japanese left wing who we absolutely loved at Fulham. Nikolai Rumyantsev still at Fulham, third in the Premier League right now in goals. Federico Guerrero with a free kick goal. He is still with the Cottagers. I haven't even looked at this. And Alphonse Gomer still in the league with Fulham. 6 assists puts him third, just one behind João Neves and Masaki Tanaka at Liverpool and Leicester, respectively. But I digress. So Southampton is potentially available, except we can't actually apply for the job. We can declare interest, so maybe they're already trying to find somebody to replace their previous manager. So we are getting a question about the speculation of the job. Citing opportunity, I'm flattered to be considered. So hopefully we're going to go forward a little bit. Let's see if either Southampton gets back to us or they hire somebody. Or as we get closer and closer to Christmas, more jobs become available. We will have a job at the end of this video. See, this is just wrong, and I'm not sure if it is something with Football Manager inherently or the Southampton fans are just dumb. They're currently sitting at the bottom of the Premier League. They're going to get relegated if nobody swoops in to help them back into the Championship. They have the interest of a Champions League winning manager who won the last Champions League. And a Southampton supporter spokesperson has laughed off Nick Bottom's interest in becoming the club's new manager and indicated that the search for the right person to take the Saints forward must continue. They categorically dismissed Nick Bottom's interest in the job, stating that the club should not be considering his application and will instead continue to appraise other candidates for the post. You must be joking. Meanwhile, Stade de Reims, that job is no longer available. There is a position open at Moreirense in the League of Portugal. They're currently sitting 13th, which is outside of the relegation spaces. Rhodos, they're in the second league in Greece, so no. Valencia have offered us a job interview at La Liga in Spain. However, they are currently sitting in 8th place and in the Champions League, and we cannot consider this job. Thank you, but no thanks. Meanwhile, Sunderland has been moving in the wrong direction for us to consider. Southampton still appears to be available, and we are now listed as the leading candidate. Still no interview yet. Valencia, we just turned them down. Levante is now available in La Liga EA Sports. They're currently sitting in 14th place, which is still outside of the relegation zone. In fact, they're 6 points clear of the drop right now. Gil Vicente could be interesting in Liga Portugal. They are even on points with Maritimo and BSAD, which means that one win for one or both of those teams would put Gil Vicente in a position where we could then apply for that job. That all being said, we are also keeping our eye on jobs that may become available as we get closer and closer to Christmas and the turning of the new year into 2039. Reading in the Premier League currently sitting 18th spot in the drop zone. Salvatore Fotti's job is on the line. Alaves at the bottom of La Liga would be kind of juicy. Cadiz in 16th on the edge of the drop zone. Atalanta would be great, but they're not really in position. Cesena and is also an opportunity. Mallorca may come available in Spain. Palermo, as well as Troyes in Ligue 1, and a couple of spots in the Eredivisie. Almere City and Excelsior could be potential landing spots for Nick Bottom should those jobs come available. All of them have managers with an insecure position. We're going to keep our eye on that and our fingers crossed. Wow, so Christmas Day and no present for us just yet. Southampton still on the board. Sunderland filled their position with Vincent Kompany, of all people. We're still waiting for Gil Vicente. They haven't played any matches in the Liga Portugal since we last looked at the table, so they're still sitting in 15th place, tied for a relegation spot, but not actually in one. The Atalanta job has come available, and in a normal Journeyman, I would have jumped all over that for an opportunity to manage in Serie A, something that I personally have not done yet in Football Manager. They are in 11th place, so they don't count. Hopefully, something juicy by New Year's. A lot of teams in the relegation zone, not a lot of teams firing their managers. I guess they're content being where they are. Who knows? Gil Vicente has officially dropped into the relegation playoff position, 16th in Liga Portugal. We went to apply for the job. It wouldn't let us. So we have declared interest in the position, much like we did Southampton. We haven't seen any movement there. Meanwhile, Manchester City continues to drop in the Premier League. They now sit 13th in the Prem table. I don't think they're really at risk of relegation right now. They find themselves 5 points clear of Aston Villa, 6 of Reading. I'm waiting for Reading to become available. I think that would be pretty cool. That is a team I've never even come close to managing. Meanwhile, my personal beloved Everton is just 1 point clear of the drop zone, sitting in 17th place, 18 points on 18 matches. This could be very interesting. Sheffield United, Brentford also in the potential mix. Only 3 points separating 18th from 14th and only 5 from 12th. Right, well, no Gil Vicente job for us. They've hired Ricardo Bogas, who was sacked earlier in the month by Sporting, so good on them. Do we have any new jobs? Ooh, there is a job in the Greek Super League. They're currently in 14th at the bottom of the table, Panathinaikos. We could kill 2 birds with 1 stone, find ourselves a job of a team that is relegation starved to try to keep them up, and we can return to our home country of Greece. So let us apply for the job. We have done so. Beautiful. Anything else? Wolves currently sitting 14th in the Premier League. They are not available. We also have FC Groningen. I know that we have a good friend, Rodolfo, who would absolutely love for us to be able to take that job. However, they are in 8th place in the Eredivisie, and therefore that job is unavailable. Man City climbing up into 11th on the Premier League table, and it looks like Southampton has found themselves a manager because that job is no longer available. In fact, it went to Marius Maldarashanu, who left FC Groningen. That is why that job is now on our list. So congratulations to the 63-year-old Romanian. May he have absolutely zero success, and may Southampton get relegated for not even considering us for the job. All right, so the calendar is ticked over into 2039. It's the 2nd of January. We took New Year's Day off, and we decided to get a little more proactive with our job search. So we have gone to all of the teams that have an insecure manager that are in the relegation zone of their respective leagues, the leagues we want to work in. And we have declared interest publicly in those jobs. That includes Almere City and Excelsior in the Eredivisie, Kefisia in Greece, Alaves in Spain, Reading, Cesena currently sitting at the bottom of the Ligue 1 table, Mallorca in next to last place, 19th, I believe, in La Liga, Palermo, the next to bottom team, I should say, in Serie A. Also, Troyes and Montpellier, the 2 teams at the bottom of the French table. We are going to take the interviews that are coming in from the press, and hopefully, maybe this will help spur those teams on to say, hey, we have a Champions League winning coach that wants to take over. We should give him a shot. Well, we finally managed to get ourselves a job interview. It is with Panathinaikos in the Greek Super League, currently sitting in 13th place. So they did manage to get themselves off of the bottom of the table. We're in 12th for a very brief period, which would have meant that we couldn't manage them, but they have dropped back into 13th. So at the time of this interview, they are in the relegation zone. They want us to just attempt to avoid relegation from the Super League. We had the normal interview questions. Didn't want to bore you with all of that because we saw that plenty during the first half of the series. And if you're following the Journeyman we're doing right now on Twitch, I answer all of the questions the same way every single time. So it looks like the club has an exciting future. More than happy to work toward those objectives. Have no further requests to propose. We have all of our coaching badges, and we are done. The interview is concluded. Thank you very much, Georgios. It was an enlightening discussion, and they will be in touch. Meanwhile, the Palermo job in Serie A has become available, still sitting in 19th place on the table. I think our little, seeding of the news to the press was a good plan because we are currently far and away the leading candidate for the job. We have just applied. We're keeping our fingers crossed. Maybe we may have a few options before this episode is done. It's been nearly 4 weeks, but we have finally received our first job offer of bottom to the top part 2. I don't know what else to call it right now. As I'm recording this, I haven't really come up with a title for the series yet, but that will obviously change as you are watching this. It's the 11th of January, and Panathinaikos have approached Nick Bottom for their vacant head coaching position, offering 3,900 euros per week, a lot less money than we were making at Paris Saint-Germain, but that is not what's important. Transfer budget of 425,000, a weekly wage budget of 89K. Not sure if those are good or bad. They had asked us to make some potential changes to the back room. We decided to spend all of that money, and we are getting rid of the director of football, who was frankly terrible, the loan manager, who frankly we're not going to need, and the technical director, again, won't need them. Let's save the money on those salaries moving forward, as well as a U19's physio, because, well, that's the amount of money we had left in the budget. We are going to delay this for a week to see if there are any other offers on the table. Panathinaikos has agreed to that. Palermo, still juicy out there. The one thing I am going to say, though, is you realize we were not the leaders for the Panathinaikos job, and we got offered it even though they're in 11th right now. That could be a problem, them being in 11th. Gonna have to consult with my with the judges in my brain to see if that's okay. We have applied for Palermo. We are the leading candidate, so we probably won't even get offered an interview, but we will wait and see. We've got a week to see what happens. All right, so a week has passed since we deferred the Panathinaikos job. They have come back and are offering us the job again. They still, if I am not mistaken, sit outside of the relegation zone in Greece, which gives me a little bit of pause. They're currently in 12th, so they have dropped one spot down, but still, well, they're even on points now with Giannina and Kefisa. So it's still a bit of a tight battle, but I'm not 100% sure. Meanwhile, the job in Spain at Cadiz came up. They were in 17th place, which was just outside of the relegation zone. So I was waiting to see what was going to happen. They filled that job in like 4 days. However, we did get an offer for an interview at Palermo, currently still in 19th place in Serie A. Also, Monza became available in Serie A, although they are outside of the relegation zone. And Casa Pia, just a couple of days ago, fired their manager. They sit 17th in Liga Portugal. They offered us an interview immediately. So we have potentially 3 options. So we are going to ask for a delay one more time from Panathinaikos. They have agreed, and I promise we are going to have a job real soon. Once they asked us to make backroom changes, I knew exactly where we were going. We're heading to Italy, baby. Palermo FC have hired Nick Bottom as their new coach. We rejected the offer from Panathinaikos. 3-year deal was offered. They've got a 3 million euro transfer budget. They're giving us 20,500 a week, which is nearly 7 times what Panathinaikos was offering us. Not that that's the important part. The important part is we are going to Serie A for the first time in my football manager career. Can't wait to get bedded in. Next time, we're going to take a look at the club, and we are going to hop right into it once we've set our tactics and everything. We still have time, although not a lot of time in the transfer window to make any changes we may need to make to get Palermo off of the bottom, and I hope to see you then. Make sure that you hit those buttons. Like this video, help out the algorithm, get it to other people who may be interested in this type of football manager content. If you have not done so already, please subscribe to the channel. It doesn't cost you anything, and it just supports the work that we are doing here. I look forward to seeing you next time as we try to take Palermo off of the bottom. Till then, bye-bye.